Hey guys, it's Alexandra. Today I'm going to be talking with Taylor, who is a recovering addict. She is going to be really talking about a lot of the trauma that comes along with addiction. She has woken up next to people that are dead because they overdosed. She has dealt with suicide of her friends. She has dealt with an ex-boyfriend who tied her to a table and shot her up with heroin when she was 17. She has overcome all of that, and she's going to be talking about her journey with sobriety, her journey with spirituality. She's going to be talking about her hope to use all of the experiences that she went through to help other people. She is studying psychology and hopes to get her PhD so that she can open a treatment center and help people heal from addiction the way that she did. So I think her story is very hard to listen to, but very inspiring. So I hope that you will stay tuned to learn more about addiction and her experience and subscribe for more videos. All right, thank you so much.
We go to the same high school, so we go to a party together. Everybody offers us a beer. Everybody else is doing it. It's a Bud Light. You drink the Bud Light, I drink the Bud Light. You go home and don't really think about it that much after. I go home and I can't think about anything else. Our reward centers function differently, and it can be a predisposition to that, either biologically, hereditarily, or it can be a result of extreme environments. Regardless, it's been deemed a disease by the CDC, so unfortunately, you're just wrong, baby. You don't have to believe in religion to get sober. You don't have to believe in religion to be part of any recovery group. And actually in the AA book, there's a whole section for the agnostic, chapter to the agnostic. So yeah, if you have any questions about any recovery groups, let me know, and good luck. I love you.
My decision to get clean, I did it for me. Admittedly, I probably did it
Do it now, do it now, do it now, do it now, do it now while you can, do it now while you can, do it now while you can. Or else you're gonna end up with this shit. Look at my face, I'm 25 years old. Do it now while you can. Here's just a couple of the things that I deal with from smoking nicotine for all of those years. Like, literally I'm 25 now, I've been smoking since I was 14. Have to have an inhaler, cannot go without an inhaler, not a single day. I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm like constant phlegm, horrible. Chronic tonsillitis starts to happen, or chronic bronchitis. That's what started to happen in high school, and now it's turning into chronic tonsillitis. I'm talking like popcorn tonsils, like you cannot swallow anything, 102.3 degree fever, like once, twice a year. Wrinkles, pores, textured skin, not to mention fucking cancer. Do it now, do it now, do it now.
You talk about a little bit in one of your videos, being like strapped to a table and shot up with heroin by one of your exes. Is that like where things started with your battle with addiction?
It was definitely one of my first, and it was the first one I remember.
Mm-hmm.
And I was young, I was 17, so I was not old enough to be able to really make that decision for myself. But, unfortunately, when we're that age, the, age gaps kind of start to overlap, and you're friends with older people that are, might be 2 years older than you, but are experiencing other things you haven't been,
right,
I guess, exposed to yet. And so that was, I was a young girl who was in a position where I was not really in a physical sense to say no. And I really socially and just like whatever didn't want to either, because if I say no here, what does that say in my social life? How does that impact that? And those are kind of the thoughts that go behind that. And so I submitted, and that was what was going to get me through that situation. And it was really rough, but I think, to be quite honest, I was already kind of on that path, and I don't know that I wouldn't have found that anyways, to be quite honest. So like, it's one of those things where it's like, I wish I would have had the choice to say it the first time, but I was kind of already experimenting in that stuff and like kickstarting that stuff, so I think I would have unfortunately ended up there anyways. So
what happened that night?
It was daytime, and I walked in and I saw somebody, we'll call him John, whatever, sitting at this table in my boyfriend at the time's, apartment, with this substance that to me did not look like cocaine. And I knew it was something else. And I was like, what is that? Like, whatever. And when I was getting the thing that kind of connected me to like getting in this situation where I'm on a table is like I was with this guy, like not the guy that had, had the stuff on the table when I walked in, but I was with the friend that was my, boyfriend at the time. And we were experimenting with sexual stuff, whatever, kids who are going through puberty, having sex, being sexually active, do that stuff, whatever. And so we're doing that. And it's like, well, we've done this once before when you weren't really, conscious to do it now. And I'm like, okay, like what, you know what I mean? So it's like, I think sometimes you just kind of say, okay, and it's kind of like that survival a little bit. Like, even if you don't even really quite know how to do that, it kind of comes into play, and it's really hard. And I think it's important to forgive yourself for stuff that happens during that time, because I was a kid. We're kids. What are we supposed to do? You know what I mean? Nobody's there in that moment to say, this leads to this, leads to this. So I try to always kind of forgive myself and be like, hey, you were a kid. It's okay. Like, things happen,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So how far, like, how deep into addiction did you get before you decided that you needed to get clean and try to be sober?
Oh, by the time that question like brings tears to my eyes. By the time I was 18 years old, my parents were like, we've just been waiting for you to turn 18 to send you to rehab. I'd only been using for 6 months at that time. That's how progressive, that's how fatal, that's how quick it is, And just to give a couple examples, waking up next to your roommates who are dead, who used in the middle of the night in a halfway house. You just got out of rehab, you're in a sober house. Your roommate decides to relapse and come home, and you use, and you wake up and they're dead in their bed. Or you come home and somebody's nodding out in their room, and you're like, hey, I know the signs, you're high. Like, we need to address this now. And that means, putting on a pot of coffee and making sure that person gets to treatment. You're calling treatment centers, making sure that person gets to treatment, gets the help that they need, making sure they're not ODing. What did they take? Selling your body, selling when you don't want to, because sex workers work. I'm an advocate for sex workers, but selling your body when you don't want to. And that's different. I have over 35 friends who have died that I personally knew in my life, that I saw, that I talked to, that are dead from this. And it's unfortunate, but it's also part of part of our responsibility to carry that legacy and to carry people's stories and say, I need to help the next addict. I need to help the next alcoholic. I need to bring that person to what can happen, which is a lot of light and a lot of love. But that dark place is very accessible. And addiction brings you to the gates of death every single day. Every single day, it brings you to that very brink of death. And you have that choice. Take the key or don't. Unlock the gate or don't. And I understand why people say, I give up, and they unlock that gate. I get it. And I don't blame them. But some of us are able to get through that. And it's important to carry those stories, right, for those who haven't been able to, unfortunately. But it is a dark place.
And do you look back at those experiences, and are you, because I think it's interesting also that you mentioned that you study psychology and you're really getting involved in like understanding that developmental part of it and what your brain is going through. Have you been able to piece together why you think that was the path that you went down?
I think that's kind of where the spirituality aspect of it comes in. For me, as a psychology major, psychology and spirituality overlap so much. And I was an avid Christian. I was kind of outside the lines of that, but I really wanted to. And I was really, truly, genuinely curious. But when I started studying psychology, I kind of realized how much it overlapped with my spirituality and what I wanted to do and how I was different and stuff. And I think that's kind of where that connects, because I needed something that was tangible, that was a reason why. Why did this happen? Right. And then I kind of realized it's not really about why, right? Like we are on this earth to do what we're gonna do. Things happen. We all our tiny, beautiful little bodies harbor trauma from the time that we are born because life happens. And so we're here to figure out what we're supposed to be doing. And so why it happens or why I'm like this becomes kind of unimportant as much as moving forward and saying, what am I capable of? What can I do? Because I know there's something inside of me that's different. And when I unleashed that with spirituality, I was like, I love myself. My inner child can be healed. I can bring that little girl or that little boy or that little person, whatever you identify with, and bring that person out of my subconscious and say, hey, it's time to heal. You're okay now. Come here. And kind of really like nurturing that. It's a hard thing to do. It's really hard, but I think that's kind of where that overlapped, in psychology allowed me to give that up to other people.
Right.
And that's where I kind of thrive in.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, I think it's cool. It's kind of interesting how when you went into like rehab, a lot of it, which I didn't realize, is like religious. Some of it's like religious based, and those people use that as like a driving force to get better. How did you approach that?
I'm going to be honest, I had more negative experiences than I did positive. And so I would go to this spiritual counselor that was in my rehab, because I was like, I want to know who God is. We all have this fundamental idea of who is God, right? God's a title. God's a title of whatever and we want to know what that is. And we're in the middle of South Florida. It's 105 degrees. I'm wearing a tank top. It's like not like I'm just wearing a tank top. And he's like, and by the way, cover up for Jesus. I'm in the middle of rehab withdrawing in South Florida in 105-degree weather, and you're talking to me about my tank top. Like, I just was like, this is not really, like, really? And I knew at that point I wanted something different. Mm-hmm. I wanted something different, and it had to be something that was loving and nurturing, and not that. And it was really judgmental, and it's different everywhere you go. There's a difference between holistic medicine and the regular AA curriculum of rehab and stuff, and where you go to rehab and whatever, but a lot of them are very religious based. And if you are religious and that works for you, do it. Like, that is amazing, and do what works for you, because if that works for you, I love that. I want you to live your best life. Everybody wants you to live your best life, but it wasn't working for me. And it was a lot of people that were, I'm pansexual. It was a lot of people that were very not okay with how the world actually works and how spirituality actually is, and living so much in a lie. I couldn't do it. And everybody's on their own journey, and I respect that and love them, but I had to get to where I was supposed to be. And that was not with mainstream religion. So
did you were you able to get sober on your own, or did you find somewhere else that worked for you?
I went to rehab 3 times. Mm-hmm. And then I really had to make a decision, and it's different for everybody, but I had to make a decision, and because I was in Florida again in the halfway house after going to rehab, blah 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 blah, after a relapse, coming up on my 21st birthday, and I kind of had to make that decision, like, I'm done. This is done. I'm done. Like, I'm going to go home to my apartment in my house, in my apartment in my hometown. Like, I've been on my own since I was 17. So I had kind of established this stuff and made backup plans or whatever. And honestly, just wing it. It works out. Just wing it. And I went home and I was like, I am going to figure out how to be sober, whatever that means. And that entailed a cocaine relapse. That entailed a Xanax relapse. That entailed the first time that I was assaulted. There was a lot of stuff that happened during that time, but I did not give up. I was like, this is my house. I'm staying here. I'm getting sober. I'm done with this. It's time. And I just kept getting up no matter how many times I fell or relapsed or messed up. I just kept getting up and being like, I'm going to try again. What are you going to do? Keep knocking me down? Okay. And I'll keep getting up. And like, I don't know. There's some kind of drive that you have to like tap into that. And every addict and alcoholic has it. Every spiritual person have it. Every human being has it. And you just have to tap into it and go. And it's sometimes it's not linear, you know, recovery's not linear. And that's okay. You know, sometimes we're messed up. We're humans. Like, I don't know what else to tell people, but to keep, you know, following your intuition. And it's different for everyone, but you can't do it alone. You know, AA and NA are wonderful resources, and the internet and TikTok and those kind of places where we have platforms where we can say, hey, I struggle with this, you know, and you can filter out all the bull crap, you know, you're able to find people that are going through the same thing as you, and you're not by yourself. You know, none of us can do this alone, and you're not alone. So why choose to be alone? Like, go find your people, you know what I mean? There's millions of us out there. So
Oh, well, that's, it's incredible that you're still here. So,
thank you.
it is so interesting to learn about the misconceptions of what it's getting sober is. I think a lot of people think you just quit and like, that's it. And a lot of the time that's not true. Well, there's many relapses that people go through. And I think that's something that unless you're familiar with that community, you definitely don't see that side of it. How long have you been sober?
So I have been sober from heroin for 4 years. I've been sober for cocaine for 2 years. I still drink and I still smoke weed. Like, I will always advocate for, and I have a quit date for actually nicotine and alcohol in June, which I'm really excited for. But they're not problems in my life. You know what I mean? Like, today I can be okay, but I had to take that time I took 1.5 years to be completely sober from everything, completely everything. Did my steps, did everything I needed to do, you know, came back home to regular life. It gets hard to integrate into it, but all hard drugs, 4 years from heroin, 2 years from coke, 2 years from Xanax. And that's about it, actually. Those were my main problems. And it feels really good. I was just sitting outside roasting. We were having like an outside fire, and we were, you know, doing that last night. And I was like, you know, it feels really good to be stable, you know, because people always have this taboo thing of like, well, if you smoke weed, you're not sober. If you do this, you're not, you know, and it's so frustrating because it's like, you know, I used to steal from people and I used to like do things that are really not okay in society. Like, you really should be in jail or not doing it. Like, you know, or you should be in your house at least not doing that. You know what I mean? And it feels nice to be stable and to be able to come home and, you know, have whatever and stay outside of my house and enjoy and not be out doing all this crazy stuff. And I deserve that. And we deserve that after everything. And if you're able to do that, cool. You know, always strive towards being a better person and being a better you as an addict and alcoholic, as somebody that struggles with that. And if you notice that something's going wrong, pull back. Like, you know, it's been several years for me since I've been in the throes of that. So it's a little bit different. But again, it's different for everybody. You know, some people might say, that's not okay. And some people might say, well, it's a spectrum. And you fall where you fall and you take care of yourself, and you will know what's right and wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Oh, well, I'm really proud of you. That's awesome. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. I'm just so excited that I got to talk to you. Like, you just seem like such a sweet person, and
You should be so proud. That's like,
I loved your videos. I watched all your other videos with people, and like amazing individuals.
thank you. Yeah, they are amazing. Some of the
Aren't
people
they?
I've been able to meet are like, it's incredible. I
Yeah,
wish I could meet everybody in person, but
I know.
yeah, it's just crazy. I think, anybody that can take something negative and push through it, I don't think a lot of people understand, because I work with psych patients and I see a lot of people overdosing a lot all the time. I see, it's sad. I see the same people again and again. And it's like, I think, unfortunately, people don't have sympathy for that. And people think they did that to themselves, and why should we feel bad for that? They chose to do what they're doing. And how do you respond to that attitude?
The best analogy and the most simple analogy that I can give, and it's always people, you know, and you're gonna have the people that are like, well, that's not, you know, whatever. If you're unable to relate this to that, I can't help you. But the most simple analogy I give to people is, have you ever not eaten for a really long time, or if you're like underwater a little too long, and like you start it's like almost like that panic. It's like I need it now or I'm going to die. Or it's like, I explain it like an itch in the back of your brain. Like it almost just feels like it's a constant thought. It doesn't go away. So every 5 seconds, until it sucks. And so when I went to a party when I was 14, 15, we all went to high school parties, right? Whatever. Somebody offered me like a beer. I think the first beer I ever drank was like a Miller Lite. And like everybody else was drinking them. Like I was like, okay, like there was kids from my high school there. Like I was like, oh, I finally fit in. Like things are awesome, you know? I drank the Miller Lite. I went home and I couldn't think about anything else. And I went to school the next day and I was like, oh, you guys want to do that again? Everybody was like, no, I feel like I'm tired and stuff. I'm dehydrated. Like I don't want to do that again. And I was like I didn't get, like there was something different. And that's the difference in the reward system, right? Like it's not that I'm choosing to have this addiction to something. It's that I didn't know that when I was going to drink this beer, I was going to have this switch flipped in my brain. And you can actually see it on a brain scan. You can actually see it on a brain scan. It will light up. If you do a brain scan, the reward system, those cells and like that in that area will light up. Like it is ridiculous. And I didn't know. I was a kid. I didn't know. And from there, it just became progressive and it got stronger and stronger and stronger. And I did my best. But, you know, I think the combat to that is that, you know, unfortunately, there is that aspect of you did choose to drink that beer. But was everybody in the whole world supposed to choose not to drink that first beer and fear that they might have a gene or something that could interact with the environmental factors to make them have alcoholism or addiction? That's just not realistic. Unfortunately, that's not realistic. And so we have to focus on preventative measures and, you know, health and wellness and education and recovery and access to that stuff, because, you know, sometimes you can't prevent it and it just sucks. So
yeah. And I think it's like seeing you honestly sit here and say, I vape, don't you vape, you shouldn't, but I do. So that's like, you know, it takes, you know, that's something that I feel like only somebody who's truly understands what the brain is going through can say to somebody, I know I'm doing this, but I'm telling you to stay away from it. So what do you feel about, you know, I think vaping and juuling and all that stuff has become really kind of mainstream now, especially like with younger people. It's kind of just something like everybody kind of does it. Like it's not this, to me, it doesn't feel the same as like somebody who has a drinking problem or somebody who's into hard drugs or something. It kind of just seems very casual. And you talk about like how you have heard from medical professionals that it's like worse than smoking is. So what is your take on that?
So I think that a lot of the comments that I got on that video were actually super insightful, and I ended up doing more research on it because I was like, you know what, you're right. Like, let me actually go look into this. And my consensus is that smoking anything is bad. Okay, smoke, like you have like little, you know, things on the side of your throat that are called cilia, and they're basically like little, like if you imagine like a rug, you know, like the little pieces of a rug, like, and they line your throat. And when you smoke, you're burning them down. And like, it's not only that, but cancer, all this stuff. I don't know the science behind like these mods and these like whatever that are super, you know, advanced vapes and stuff. But I know that, you know, these are not good for you. I know that for me, as somebody who has asthma, I've been smoking for 10 years. I started on cigarettes, switched to vapes my like junior, senior year, smoked both eventually and that's what happens. And it's not fun. It's not fun. And everybody is different. Everybody's genes and environmental interactions are different. So, you know, I had some people that comment that were like, I've been smoking 10 years and I'm fine. And I'm like, well, that's great, dude. I've been smoking 10 years and I'm not. And I want people to save themselves, you know, like, why? It doesn't do anything for you, you know. Nicotine and alcohol both, they don't really do anything for you. The pros do not outweigh the cons. So take it from somebody who's like waking up in the middle of the night like, oh, I don't feel good. Don't do it. You know what I mean? Like, I just think that it's a waste of time and money. And I think that's the one. I never regret anything, but I can honestly say that would be my one regret, is that smoking nicotine. What a waste, you know? Your body will thank you later. Trust me.
So do people ever come at you and say, like, just quit? Then why don't you just quit?
Yeah, of course.
So, you know, what do you say to that?
Well, that's just not how addiction works, baby. I wish I would have thought of that. Like, you know what I mean? And that goes back to the thing of keep getting up and trying again. You know, like I've tried to quit several times. I have another quit date in June. I'm not going to quit trying to quit. I'm not going to quit trying to quit. Like, that's not, you know, but always trying to better yourself health wise is going to be good, but it's hard sometimes. I have so many people that message me and they're like, you know, I get anxious, or I'm in high school and I'm stressed, or I'm transitioning to college and I'm stressed out and I lean on this. You know, I don't drink and I don't do drugs, so I kind of lean on this. And it's like I go to parties and all my friends are doing it, and like imagining how hard that is at that age today. It's like, I can see why, you know, but I think kind of bringing yourself back to center and mindfulness and kind of being like, all right, like, I need to focus on what the immediate effects are going to be, opposed to, you know, if I just say screw it now, what's going to happen in 10 years when I'm dealing with the stuff that girl on TikTok was talking about, and now I'm remembering it.
Right. So, you know, I think you being able to overcome a lot of things that took the lives of a lot of your friends, and I'm sure you're still dealing with it, but how do you cope with the memories that you have of like past traumas that still you were probably out of it most of the time, but I'm sure there's some things that still stick with you. How do you work through that and still accept yourself as a different person?
That's a journey. That's my best friend Kyle. He shot himself in the head. And he called me 10 minutes before he did it twice, and I missed the call. A lot of other things in addition to that. But at the center of everything, like, you're always still just a kid. You know what I mean? Like, we're not born to like do bad shit. We're not born to like be like, you know, people aren't naturally like that. Not all the time. And you know, I mean, the family blamed me for the suicide, actually, and I wasn't even there. I was at work, and blamed me because I missed the call. And I think you kind of have to just make a decision to honor yourself and to look at the facts of the situation and say, I'm doing the best that I can. That's all we can do.
Yeah.
We are human beings, and that is all we can do. The best that we can. And I've done horrible stuff in my past. I've done wonderful stuff. I talk to so many people every day and help so many people, and I love them, and I love helping them, and I love talking to them, and I enjoy that. It helps me, you know, but I still have a shadow self, and it's okay to love that part of you, and learn from it. But, you know, your trauma has to be dealt with in therapy, and you gotta, it's important to go to therapy. It's important to talk to somebody, anybody, and get that out, because our little tiny bodies, they harbor trauma, you know, they harbor that stuff we go through, and it's not always our fault, but we deserve to be healed a little bit. And whether that's searching free therapy, pro bono therapy, you know, if you don't have insurance, you know, whether that's scouring the internet for that, because I promise you there are therapists and, you know, physicians that want to work with people like that. Advocating for yourself. probably the bottom line. So
Well, I'm so sorry that you had to go through that. It's,
okay,
you
it
know,
happens.
yeah, it's just, it's, I don't, yeah, I can't say that I understand. I can't sit here and tell you that I understand, but I think it was amazing to see that you actually were able to like reconnect with his spirit, weren't you? So what was
He
that
came,
like?
he came he came through during so the first medium session I ever had about him, he's like drawing olive branches, and the guy is like, I mean, I had never met this man ever, the medium, you know. I connected with him, you know, through the internet, and he did not have time to look up anything, and I don't have any of that on the internet anyways. And he's like, this guy is drawing olive branches, which only happens with a suicide or an overdose. Which one was it? And it's so funny because obviously suicide, and then Kyle loved olives. That was like his favorite. Like his mom, when he died, his mom gave me a pack of olives that she was supposed to give to him, but you know, and it was wild. And then he comes through during a medium reading I had a couple weeks ago before a spell that I was getting ready to do. And the medium goes, I'm so sorry. Somebody named Kyle is coming in really strong and wants you to get a tattoo of him. And me and him got our first tattoos together ever. So that makes sense. And I was like, not right now. Like what? And he's so funny. And it's crazy because we reincarnate with these people and we always usually stay with the people that we're with, and it's just in a different aspect or whatever. And it's crazy because I'll go outside and I'll see like a red cardinal, you know, was sitting on my front step the other morning. I walk outside, it's just sitting on my front step, and I was like, and I just kind of knew it was him, and I was like, good morning, Kai. Like, good to see you. Go back inside, grab some bread, come out, and this bird's like just eating in front of the step in front of me, you know, like, and it's just beautiful. It's, you know, we are always connected to those that pass, and they're here watching over us and loving us. So
And when you talk, about like spells and stuff like that, what sort of spiritual beliefs do you carry?
I think it's an ongoing thing. I think it's I got my first pack of Oracle decks in like 2016,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I was like, all right, this is cool. Like it's pulling stuff that I resonate with. This is awesome. And then I got a pack of tarot cards, and then I started buying crystals, and I started buying more crystals, and I started because I was moving from Christianity to stuff that was very, do not do that, you know, you're worshiping Satan. And I was very afraid of the devil, right? You know, I was very afraid of that. It's a made up thing by Christians. No, you know, the devil is. I have grown more and had more tangible spirituality. You know, I broke down in front of my altar that I finally set up, and I was like, I'm broken. I'm done. My life is in shambles. Please, please, please help me. Please, please, please help me. Lucifer, anybody, anyone, please help me. And this was right after Kyle had died. And then I started getting sober, like actually sober. And then I started purging these things from my life and these people that were horrible for me. It was so painful. And I was like, this sucks. You guys suck. Like, you know, but things started actually getting better, like with doing the work and realizing that this fear mongering and this idea that you're going to some bad place. No, you're just a human. You're just doing what you know how to do. No one's going to punish you for that. It's okay. Yes, there is dark and there is light, and there is a balance between the both of them. Do the best you can to balance. That's all you can do. And I started finding peace, and I started finding something that I liked, and I started finding things that I could pray to. I reconnected with my grandmother, who is the biggest influence in my life, who I love her. I would be nowhere without her. And it's wonderful, and it's available to anybody. You know what I mean? And if you don't like it, don't do it. That's fine. That's totally fine. You know, but if you feel drawn to it, go get a stone, go get a little rock you like the color of, like, you know, see where it leads you. It's a fun path to go down, you know,
Yeah.
especially when you have the intention of loving others.
Do you feel like you got like your personality back? Like, do you feel like parts of you that, I feel like we go through a journey where we're kids, and then a bunch of shit happens in between, and then eventually like you get back to yourself. Do you feel like you're reconnecting with yourself?
Yeah, I definitely like makes me cry. I've had more fun and not fun the last couple years than I think I have in a long time. And it's been amazing to just like laugh and be like, who am I? Like, what do I like? What do I want to do? It's okay to be like, if my friends invite me out and I want to stay home, it's okay to be like, no, I'm good. And stay home and do what I want to do and just have fun and like dance in my living room. All the cliche stuff you hear, like, and you're like, okay, like, might as well just like try it. Like, it's good. And to be, yeah, getting back to center with yourself and what's my style? What do I like? Where do I want to go? What do I want to do for school? I can do anything I want to do, like it's rejuvenating and it's fun. And it's I think that's one of like the rewards that comes with continuing to try and continuing to at least honor yourself by trying. You know what I mean? So it's a good time.
So what do you want to do? What are some of your goals?
I would love to open a treatment center one day that is very much low cost if we can't get it for free. I would love to cut the medications out. To be quite honest, I'd like to cut the medications out. I think that classical conditioning can be applied to addiction recovery. I think that we can make a craving be associated with the need to work out or eat good food or whatever else stimulates the dopamine and norepinephrine and epinephrine and all that good stuff in your brain, serotonin, all that stuff. I think that Big Pharma has taken advantage of and dominated things for a long time. And I would like to open a treatment center where people can come for mental health, for addiction, for, alcoholism, for just sobriety from whatever in general, and learn how to, drink filtered water. We're going to eat food that we grow. We're going to teach you how to grow food. We're going to take care of animals. We're going to do DBT, CBT. We're going to fix the actual effing problem instead of you showing up to treatment and you get a cocktail of medications that's supposed to detox you.
Yeah.
If I was detoxing, you would just give me no meds. Unless I'm withdrawing from, I would say methadone, alcohol, or benzos, because of those are the most dangerous. Unless you're on seriously, seriously high amounts of drugs, no, you're poisoning us. It's, so I would like to open up something that's a little bit more natural, holistic medicine, but with a little bit of science and also medicine and also too, because I get that some people need to be medicated, and absolutely, but finding that balance and offering it to people for free or at least low reduced, because I know tons of people that would volunteer at a rehab for free for hours a week doing tech or physician stuff or whatever. So
Well, I think that's amazing to go full circle. It's to give back to your own is amazing. So I wish you the best of luck in that. And I really, really loved hearing from you. And I truly just, I wish you the best. I think you've been through so much and you deserve to live.
Well, I appreciate you. And thank you for being so open with opening these dialogues for people.
Absolutely.
It is such an important thing. And thank you, seriously.
Anytime. Well, my door is always open. Or I should say my virtual door is always open. So my DMs are open. Yes. So reach out anytime. And I'm
absolutely.
Yes. I look forward to keeping in touch with you.
Absolutely. I hope you have a wonderful night.
You too. Thank you so much.
Bye, babe.